better about this, but they even mess this up sometimes. Their feet are facing the target, right? We're going to get into hips and all these other things next, but if your feet are facing your target, you're not going to be able to rotate your hips and load your hips and load your butt. All the speed and power from our shots, especially in a time and room scenario, come from the ability to load. And if my feet and my chest are facing this direction, it's going to be a shot with all arms, right? There's no way that my hips, chest, or back are going to be able to rotate with my feet facing that way. So, simple drill. Like, this is not rocket science. We do it in the machine, after pregame, we do it in the machine at practice, and we're doing our offensive shooting drill. So if there's the goal, let's just say the goal's at the door, there's a line here and a line here. We should be receiving the ball, catching it with my feet facing this direction. If my feet are facing the sideline when I receive the ball, that means my hips are turned. If my feet are facing the goal when I receive the ball, there's no way for your hips to be turned, right? So just a simple drill, the goal's there, have balls in that line, have balls in this line, and we're throwing the ball back and forth, receiving the ball, stepping, planting, shooting. And that way, if I'm receiving it from here and I'm shooting this direction, I have to be turned, and then it's going to allow me to turn my hips and generate speed and power that direction. Now, last thing I'll say about your feet, their top foot. If you watch the best shooters in the world, you watch Marcus Holman, you watch Connor Cannizzaro, you watch Peter Baum, Tom Schreiber, we got a bunch of them on our team, which is probably why we won. But you watch those guys shoot, their top foot is pointed at the target, right? So they can catch the ball here, and then as they're going to shoot, they open up. This foot is pointed where they want this ball going, the direction they want the ball going. Their hips snap around, and the ball comes out. So again, first and most importantly, with our feet, let's make sure when we receive that ball, our feet are to the sideline, which is going to allow our hips to be turned, our butt to be loaded, and our back to be turned. Does that make sense? When you're understanding that the kids and their feet are facing the sidelines, we're understanding the hips, so all of our power. The reason I was able to be successful last summer with having one ankle, because I had surgery and I came back 2 months earlier than I should have, and I literally just got cleared to start running October 15th. So shouldn't have been playing at all last summer, but I was able to be successful because I understand how to use my body, use my hips, use my butt. That's the only reason. In the championship game, for example, I scored a goal from Peter Baum. He lobbed one up to me, and I caught it, and I planted it on my bad ankle and stepped into a time and room shot. And the only reason I was able to do that is because I caught it with my back turned, and I knew that if my hips can rotate, like, I can be successful. And I caught the ball here, we were able to turn, snap our hips, and that's where our power comes from. So if you can teach kids to understand that their power is not coming from the whipping their stick, it's not coming from reaching back as far as they can, it's not coming from taking 17 crow hops like they all like to do and step into their shot. That's not where the power is coming from. The power is coming from your ability to load your hip here and then explode out of it. The best drills we have here have players catch the ball and shoot off one step. So the important part about that, and it's a goal that I just talked about I had in the championship game, is if you can do a drill, the same drill we just talked about throwing the ball back and forth, but when you receive the ball, no big crow hop, no big step into it, literally just a catch and rotate your hips. Catch and rotate your hip and get them to understand that you don't have to take 17 steps into your shot. You don't have to catch it with a guy 5 yards away from you so you can crow hop and get it off. You can literally receive the ball and snap your hip, and if you do it properly, you should be able to generate enough speed. I got to pull back, right? And then the cradle catch, which is the one where they snatch at it, again, what do I have to do to shoot? I have to pull it back. So what we teach and what we did at Hopkins and obviously what we do professionally is we receive the ball back here, right? So that ball's in the air. I'm catching it back here, and by catching it back here, there's only one way to go now, right? Now I'm just going that way. So if I catch the ball here, I'm able to just immediately, the second the ball hits my stick, I am in the process of turning my body and letting this ball go. Exaggerated. So like they say, get your back to the goal. And realistically, if I'm shooting that way, like this isn't it, right? Like I don't want to be this turned. And I think when people say get your back to the target, that's too much, and kids start over exaggerating it. So I think the examples I have here, a pitcher, a quarterback, a tennis player, I think those are the folks you can watch to kind of explain what your back needs to look like. So if I'm a tennis player serving this way, they don't serve like this and then turn and hit it, right? Like it's one of these, they throw up, they turn their back and hips, and then they step into it. A pitcher, he looks at you, he's winding up, turns his back, and then he steps into it. A quarterback, no different. We drop back, we plant, and the ball's gone. So in our sport, your back, it should be the same as those, right? The way that I'm going to generate speed and power that way is my feet are this direction, right? Now my hips are that direction because they can't go a different direction than my feet, right? And so now, as I'm receiving that ball, if I can turn my back like this is what we're looking for. We're looking to try and show the goalie this one number here. And I can see the whole numbers, right? I can see both of them. We can show the goalie this side of our body, not only are we getting our back turned so we can generate as much speed and power as we want, but we're also hiding our stick, which is important. Again, in our league, it's all about deception, right? I mean, I don't care if you shoot at 115. These goalies are good enough, they'll catch that thing. But if you shoot 115 with your back turned through 3 people, that's how you start to score goals. So let's make sure, as we're working with the kids, you show them those other scores, because that's the best one. We've all seen a picture, right? Everybody, from the time you're a little guy. Arms are in tight, right? And the reason we all do that is because it's more comfortable. If you have this ball in your hand, and the ball in your stick, and we shoot the ball like this, or we're cradling, all these different things, you have it closer to your body, it's just comfortable, right? It feels okay. The problem is we can't generate speed and power if our arms are here. We can't generate head speed. Head speed being the speed of our head. How quickly can I get this thing moving through the air? No different from club speed in golf, head speed in our sport. Let's get those arms out here. How quickly can I get this thing just moving through the air? So when you watch kids, or again, put a goal 5 yards in front of your players. This is the drill for it. Put a goal 5 yards in front of your player. So if I'm in line, there's another goal here. And as we step up, we're going to catch the ball, reach our arms as far back as we can, and we're shooting the ball over top of this goal. Now, obviously you have youth players. Again, if the kid can reach his stick over the goal, and even a little tiny guy, if he can reach his stick over the goal, he can do this drill. Like he or she can do this drill. If we're able to reach our stick over the ball, you can do it. But what we need to understand, when you do this drill, have them actually shoot the ball. I think what happens with this drill all the time, I do it all over the country, kids start winding up and doing like one of those and like trying to jump over it and find ways to get the ball over the goal. Marcus Holman, incredible. Tom Schreiber, incredible. These guys with their hand and their wrist and how they can control where the ball's going is just on another level. And so for youth and high school players, I'm a firm believer that this is something that is it's going to take a lot of time, a lot of repetitions, and it's something that literally up until like 3 years ago when I started playing for Barrier at the Machine, I didn't really get good at. Like it's that tough of a skill to develop. Canadians, you watch those guys play, I mean, everything is controlled by that top wrist, whichever hand they are. But for us as Americans, we don't grow up learning to do that like they do. So when it comes to the wrist, that's how we control where the ball's going, right? And so everything I just told you, our feet, and then into our hips, into our back, into our arms. The final step of this is controlling where this ball goes with our wrist. So just some basic stuff. If we want to bring that ball from high to low, as I wind up, there are 2 ways to do it. And I'm sure they're depending on how your stick is strung, but for youth players, high school players, there are 2 ways to do it. If I want to bring this ball from high to low, for me, I'm not a top wrist guy. I didn't grow up learning that or playing that way. So if I want to shoot the ball this direction and I want this ball to go low, I'm going to shoot. And as I release it, I'm yanking down with my bottom hand on that release, and that'll pull that ball from up here to downstairs. Just speaking about high to low right now and how we use our wrists, I can't reiterate enough how important it is when you're working with your kids and you're working on a high to low shot to have them not drop their shoulders or drop their hands. That's the biggest mistake kids make when trying to shoot the ball high to low. They'll drop their shoulders, they'll drop their hands, and they'll shoot that ball low. The problem with that is that becomes predictable, right? If every time you want to shoot low, you got to do this, and then you shoot it low, it becomes predictable. So what we want to do, every step we've talked about, my feet are this way, my hips are here, my back is turned, my arms are away, and now when I want to shoot the ball this direction, I'm going to release it the same way I've released every other shot, but on my release, I yank down with my bottom hand, and I promise you that will pull that ball from high to low, and that's a really difficult save for a goalie. The next one, the low to high. Oh, I'm sorry, another thing with high to low, if you got some top wrist players, which I'm telling you right now, most Americans are not, but if you have some top wrist guys that are pretty skilled, they can snap down with their top wrist to control where that ball goes. Like Marcus can do that, Tom can do that. That is not in my skill set. I can't do that. Ball ends up spraying all over the place. So if you have a really skilled guy that can do it, you can shoot the same exact way, just snap your top wrist, and that will control where that ball goes. And then we're talking from low to high, same thing for me. When I shoot the ball low to high, opposite of what we just talked about with high to low, when I shoot this ball low to high, I'm pulling up with my bottom hand as I release that ball, and that brings that ball from low back upstairs. College, just started doing it like 3 years ago, is that we can step one way and shoot the other, right? So goalies, again, MLO goalies are really good. They start to scout you, they start to track what you do, they watch your film, they look where your shoulders are, they look where my eyes are, they look where my hands are, and where I shoot the ball, all those different things. So what I've started doing is if I'm shooting the ball this direction, I told you guys about the top foot, right? We usually step with our top foot, and we step into this shot. And Canadians, again, are incredible at this, brilliant at it. It's from their indoor experience and their box growing up. But what I'll start doing is I'll wind up, and if I step like this, at this goal, I don't know if can you guys see my foot back there, it looks like right now I'm pulling the ball to this pipe. Like as a goalie in there, if I do one of these and my step is here, it looks like I'm trying to pull this thing to this pipe. So I'll step like I'm going this direction and put the ball over here. It'll release it a little different and stop here, and that ball come out and go all side. Again, we're talking about players. Make their dodge, run this way, but try and shoot that way. You know, so they're running straight across the field, but somehow trying to muster up enough strength to shoot the ball this direction. So one of the first things I was taught about shooting on the run is bear to the pipe. So whatever, I'm an east-west guy, so I'll go east-west, back and forth, swim, whatever I got to do. But before I shoot the ball, if I'm running this way, my last step has to be down at the pipe for two reasons. One, I'm increasing my angle in my shot, and two, and more importantly, my momentum is going that way. You want your momentum going towards your target as opposed to going away from your target. As far as the mechanics of it, everything's the same. Turning our hips while we're shooting, I think it's a hard concept for kids to understand, to run that way but turn your hips this way, right? Like that's a tough skill, it's an acquired skill. But if you're teaching them to bear to the pipe, teaching them to get their arms away from their body, I think it's just going to come over time, right? It's one of those things that repetition. I'm a jump shooter. Jump shooting made sense to me because I was a basketball player, and so going up on one foot made sense, like you're going up for a layup or you're going up for whatever it is. So for me, jump shooting just came naturally of dodging, coming out of my shot and jumping. But that's something I think, again, if you have some basketball. I'm a believer. I've heard it taught to like follow through and point your stick where you want the ball going. I'm not sure how realistic that is.
I've heard show the goalie your numbers,
yep.
So he knows your score.
That's a thing too. Yeah, sure. Why not?
That.
Why not? No. So when are you talking about on the run? So on the run, yeah. So when I'm shooting the ball on the run, so if I do a proper shot on the run, I split dodge and I'm running this direction and I shoot this thing, I should look like this after my shot because there's no way. If I don't look like that, I didn't rotate my hips, right? Like if I'm not a jump, because if you're a jump shooter, you're not getting up with your back. I'm a jump shooter, so I very rarely land like this. I usually land like somewhere sideways because I'm a jump shooter. But if you're a guy that does not jump while shooting the ball, if you do it properly, yes, you should have your back to the target. Now, time and room wise, no. Like time and room wise, I mean, if I step in and shoot this ball, I might look like this, but there's no way that I'm rotating all the way around. I think when it comes to your stick, train a little differently. Right? Like everybody does at this point in my career, I don't need to be doing what crazy Scotty Rogers does. Like I don't need to be squatting 8,000 pounds and benching nonstop. Like that doesn't help me. And so anything, the question was about training, what can we do? All of my training is based around a Bosu ball. So that blue thing, I flip it over so it's on the black side. And every lift I do, whether that's kettlebells, RDLs, whatever it is, all done single leg on a Bosu ball. Because more often than not, I'm on one leg, right? Shooting the ball on the run, you're planting off one leg, you're letting it go. My jump shot, I'm jumping, the ball's out. Me planting, catching, I'm stepping in, it's on one leg. So everything I do is single leg related. And I don't do, again, not Scotty Rogers, no heavy stuff, there's no point in that. I do stuff that makes sense. So band around my knees, band around my ankles, just doing lunges, this type of stuff. All the stuff that strengthens from here to here. That's all I need as a shooter and as a dodger. I need to be strong in my core, strong in my thighs, my butt, all around this area, and that's it. I'm not looking for anything else. And be able to do it in the game. The next thing I'll add, as you get into your shooting drills, if you see a player that's not doing it at game speed, make them do push-ups. Like one of the most important things that kids have to understand when they're a youth player is that there's no use in going out and shooting the ball, going up the restraining line, which is what most kids do. Go up the restraining line, put a bunch of balls out there, step in, low to high, for 15 minutes, maybe hit one of them, sail the rest of them, and that was shooting for the day. Like you need to teach your kids that when you're taking extra shots, not even necessarily with you guys at practice, but when you're at home, when you're at school, when you're messing around with your buddies in the backyard, work on shots that you're actually going to get in the game and try and go through it at game speed. That's the only way to train your body. I think that summer that I just told you guys about between my freshman and sophomore year was so big for me because that's when I spent all summer long every day taking the shots that like I was going to get on Saturdays. And like that's when I built in the muscle memory. So when I got on the field on Saturday, like it all just made sense. I had done it so many times that it didn't matter that at this point when I'm doing it, there's 10,000 people in the stands and it's against Virginia. And it didn't make a difference. It was no different from when I did it, in July when nobody was here and I had my little cousins run around and get me balls. Like that's what it's about. So when you talk to your players and you're having them do shooting, make sure that they're practicing the shots and the dodges and the shots on the run that might actually happen in a game, and not just doing nonsense for Instagram or Snapchat or doing all the different challenges that are going on. That's all fun, and there's obviously a place for that. But when it comes to actually working on your mechanics and your skill set, the only way to build it is through repetition and what I mean by repetition is real repetition. So out there really putting the work in, really going at full speed. And that's all I got if we had nothing else.